You may know him from Netflix's hit series, the pale figure cloaked in shadow, the master of dreams. But who is Sandman, really? What untold stories shaped the Lord of Dreams long before the series began? Today, we'll step beyond the screen and into the pages of myth, uncovering the hidden lore of Dream of the Endless, the Sandman. From his strange tools of power, to the lovers and rivals who tested him, to the family ties that bound him in fate. And by the end, you'll discover the chilling truth that Sandman's greatest enemies were not demons, gods, or mortals, but his very own kin. Sandman is not like the heroes we know. He is not a mortal who stumbled into power, nor a god who rules through worship. He is Dream itself, endless, eternal, and yet deeply flawed. Unlike gods, he cannot die. Unlike mortals, he cannot change so easily. He exists in the space between, burdened with duties that no one asked him to bear. And this raises the mystery. What truly is Sandman? Is he a king of stories, shaping the dreams of mortals like a playwright? Or is he a prisoner of his own realm, bound by rules older than the gods themselves? Before we can understand his choices in the series, his victories, his mistakes, even his cruelty, we must first uncover the truth of his nature. Where did he come from? What shaped him into the proud, brooding figure who walks the corridors of dreams? That is the riddle of the endless. And to answer it, we must go back. To understand Sandman, we must first understand his family, the Endless. They are not gods. Gods rise and fall with the prayers of mortals. The Endless do not. They existed before humanity, before the first myths were spoken. They are not worshipped, they simply are. Each Endless represents a truth of existence. Destiny, the book and the path all must walk. Death, the kindest of them all, who comes for every living soul. Dream, our Sandman, the shaper of stories, imagination, and nightmare. Then desire, despair, destruction, and delirium. They are concepts given form, and unlike gods or demons, they are bound by rules. Even they cannot always escape. Dream is not just a person, he is a place. His realm, the dreaming, stretches wider than worlds. It is where every story, every nightmare, every fragment of imagination lives. For mortals, it is the place visited each night in sleep. For Sandman, it is his throne, his prison, and his duty. Within the dreaming, castles shift like thought, landscapes melt into symbols, and creatures of imagination walk freely. Here live his creations, Cain and Abel, the first murderer and the first victim, cursed to relive their story forever. Lucien, his loyal librarian, who keeps every book ever dreamed but never written, and countless others born from the fantasies and fears of mortals. Dream rules over this realm absolutely, but with power comes burden. For every mortal's dream, every nightmare, every story that flickers across the mind, he must oversee it all. But Dream is no benevolent ruler. He is cold, rigid, proud. Where his sister Death is kind, Dream is merciless. He does not forgive easily, and those who cross him suffer punishments that echo through centuries. Consider Nada, the mortal queen who rejected his love. When she refused to rule by his side in the dreaming, he condemned her soul to torment in hell, a sentence that lasted 10,000 years. Or Calliope, once his lover, whom he allowed to be enslaved by a mortal man out of pride and bitterness. Dream's flaw is his pride. He clings to rules, to promises, to rituals he cannot bend. And yet, it is this rigidity that makes him both terrifying and tragically human. Unlike his siblings, Dream's identity is tied to three tools of power. The first, his helm, crafted from the bones of a dead god, shaped into an insect-like mask. It allows him to travel anywhere in the realms of dream and nightmare, even through the barriers of hell. The second, his ruby, a jewel that contains a fragment of his own essence. It amplifies his strength, but also makes him vulnerable, for whoever holds it can wield a piece of dream himself. The third, his sand, grains that can put mortals into dreams, summon visions, and even shift the boundary between reality and illusion. These tools are not weapons alone. They are parts of Dream's soul, scattered across existence. When he is captured, when he loses them, he is not just powerless. He is incomplete. Perhaps the most shocking chapter in Sandman's history is his imprisonment. In 1916, occultists seeking to capture death instead ensnared Dream. They sealed him in a glass cage, stripped of his tools, and held him for more than a century. In his absence, the world suffered. Mortals fell into endless sleep or never slept at all. Nightmares escaped into reality. Stories lost their endings. Humanity's collective imagination began to wither. When Dream finally escaped, he was weakened, humiliated, and yet more determined than ever. This imprisonment, more than any other event, reshaped the Lord of Dreams. Sandman does not live in isolation. His story is bound to both gods and men. He bargains with Lucifer in the depths of hell. He confronts the fates, the triple goddesses of destiny. He inspires Shakespeare himself, gifting him the stories that would outlast empires. To mortals, Dream is a figure both terrible and wondrous. To gods, he is a rival. And to himself, he is always both ruler and prisoner, a being caught between his duty and his pride. Yet for all his divine power, Dream of the Endless is drawn, again and again, to mortals. Some he loves. Calliope, the muse, bore him a son. Their tragedy became one of the most haunting tales in his long existence. His pride destroyed that bond, and in losing them, Dream revealed how little control he truly had over his own heart. Some he despises. Rulers and tyrants who tried to bargain for more than they were owed, who sought to twist dreams into weapons. To them, Sandman offered no mercy, only justice, sharp and absolute. But some he befriends. In one of the most famous tales, Dream makes a pact with a man named Hob Gadling, granting him immortality. Every century, the two meet again in a tavern, to drink, to talk, to measure what it means to be human. And through this strange friendship, Dream himself changes, just a little. For though he is endless, even he cannot resist the pull of mortal stories. This is what makes Sandman unlike any other mythic figure. He is a cosmic being, yes, but he is also a mirror. Through every lover, every rival, every friend, Dream reflects humanity's best and worst. He is not separate from us. He is bound to us. For without mortals to dream, even the Lord of Dreams would fade into silence. Yet for all his battles with mortals, demons, and gods, Sandman's greatest struggles are not with outsiders. They are with his family. The Endless are bound not by love, but by necessity. They embody truths that cannot change, and so their relationships are as eternal as they are tragic. With Death, his sister, there is closeness. She is gentle where he is cold, compassionate where he is proud. Many have said that Dream only endures because Death reminds him of humility, and in truth, it is her kindness that highlights his cruelty. With Desire, there is only enmity. Desire plays games, weaving traps, seeking to humiliate Dream at every turn. To Desire, Dream is self-righteous and predictable, an easy pawn in their endless schemes. To Dream, Desire is corruption itself, a mirror of everything he despises but can never escape. With Despair, Dream sees reflection, for her eternal sorrow mirrors his own loneliness, his inability to change. She does not hate him nor love him. She simply is. And in her presence, Dream is reminded of the futility that shadows even stories. With Destruction, the brother who abandoned his duties, there is both anger and envy. Dream cannot imagine abandoning his realm, his throne, his rules. And yet, part of him longs for the freedom Destruction seized. The escaped Dream will never allow himself. And then there is Delirium, once delight before she fell into madness. She is chaos incarnate, a sister Dream cannot control, cannot understand, but cannot help but protect. For in her fractured ramblings lie truths that even Dream fears. This is the paradox of Sandman. He rules the dreams of every mortal who has ever lived, yet he cannot control the bonds of his own family. He is the shaper of stories, but the story of the endless is one he cannot rewrite. And here lies the heart of his tragedy. For Dream is not destroyed by demons, nor slain by gods. His downfall is always found in his own nature, and in the ties he cannot sever. But perhaps this is why Dream endures in our imagination, not as an untouchable god, but as something achingly human. For in him, we see the eternal struggle between duty and desire, control and chaos, solitude and love. The endless are not mere archetypes. They are reflections of us, magnified and eternal. Who among us has not feared change like destiny? Who has not been consumed by desire, like desire itself? Who has not, in moments of despair, felt the pull of despair's chains? And in Delirium, who dances at the edge of reason, we glimpse both madness and insight, the fragile line every mind walks when confronted with grief and wonder. Dream's tragedy is not only his own, it is ours. For he teaches us that even those who rule the realm of imagination cannot escape the weight of family, of love, of being bound to others. That is the price of existence, and perhaps the secret of stories themselves. So who is Sandman, truly? He is not merely the king of dreams, nor just a character bound in ink and shadow. He is the embodiment of stories themselves, eternal, unchanging, and yet forever burdened by his own flaws. From the moment of his creation, Dream was both ruler and prisoner. Ruler of every mortal's imagination, every tale whispered in sleep. Prisoner of his own pride, his sense of duty, his refusal to bend when the world demanded change. We have seen how his tools bound his power. We have seen how lovers, gods, and kings tested him. And we have seen how even the endless themselves became his greatest rivals. Through it all, Sandman endures, not because he is invincible, but because he cannot be anything else. He is Dream, he is story, and story never dies. And perhaps that is the true terror and the true beauty of Sandman, that as long as mortals dream, his presence lingers, watching, shaping, whispering, a reminder that even in our sleep, we are never entirely free. If you've enjoyed uncovering the hidden lore of Sandman, join us again for more journeys into the strange, the shadowed, and the legendary. Subscribe and step with us into worlds where dreams blur with reality and where secrets never sleep.